Hey there, Agile Adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday. This week we have with us Mukhtar Kadiri. Hey, Mukhtar. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Tuesday is Team Tuesday, of course, here on the podcast. But before we dive into the team story, share with us, what's the book that most inspired you in your career as a Scrum Master?
Yeah, so for me, in my project management career, I would say because I sort of stumbled into project management, I didn't really, start by reading, right? So I started by I was leading projects before I knew, I was managing projects. So a lot of my knowledge came from hands-on practical experience and just learning from mistakes. But then when I studied for the PMP, a lot of things that I knew became crystallized for me, right? There were frameworks and methodologies, associated with things that I sort of knew. So that was really helpful. So I think I took my PMP maybe after 7 years, of leading projects. So preparing for the PMP was very helpful. And the book that really helped me then was the retail book, right? But later on, I started to read more, about project management. And one that really stands out to me is the HBR, Harvard Business Review Project Management Handbook by Antonio Nieto. So why I really like that book is that I think a lot of project management books, I can read them and it's almost like I'm not really learning anything new. But this, I really like that there was substance to it, so I really like that. And I really liked the breadth. And also, it also gave maybe, different ways of just handling some common challenges in the project management world. So that would be my recommendation.
Absolutely. And we'll put the link to all of those in the show notes for people to go and check them out. Thank you for sharing that, Mukhtar. And of course, now we turn our attention to the teams and how sometimes they become their own worst enemies. So we want you to tell us a story of a team, the context, so that we know, what kind of project are they participating in? How big is the team? And then walk us through how maybe some patterns or behaviors developed over time and became self-destructive for the team.
Yeah. So one project that comes to mind now was this particular project. We're working on cutting edge technology. This was in the software healthcare space. And I don't want to share, because of confidential reason, but basically it was going to be like implementing a new technology in the software space, and this was in healthcare. So basically, this team was moving along on this project, but they couldn't quite hit any of their milestones. It just felt like there was just a lot of chaos. So this team had a product manager, engineering team, and the head of engineering, like an architect, leading the engineering team. So this was supposed to be a team that was, I guess, self-sustaining, but they couldn't quite hit their muscle. So they brought me in. I was a technical project manager then, and they brought me in, just help us figure things out and just drive us to where we need to get to. So, like I mentioned before, one of the first things is just meeting people one-on-one, the different stakeholders, understanding what's really going on, where do we want to be, what is the problem, and this one was particularly difficult because there was a lot of finger pointing, product pointing fingers, or engineering, and then, or the product manager doesn't really know what they're doing. The engineering doesn't, so anyway, it met all of all these people, and then started to formulate a plan for us to move forward, right? But this was still early on. I wasn't quite sure because like sometimes like it's just a lot of chaos. One of the first things that you just want to do is just have some structure. Okay, let's meet every week. Like something like that's progress. There's no, we're not even talking about the plan yet, but let's just have rituals, you know? But then in one meeting, the head of engineering just burst out. Like he started yelling in the meeting, like he was frustrated. And like it was a bit shocking, because like this was happening not in a one-on-one setting, but in public, right? And then I was like, okay, this is probably one of the main reasons, So I ended up speaking to him one-on-one and like, what's going on. And I ended up finding out that he was very frustrated that a lot of the team was depending on him because he is like, you have these people in companies that they're very smart and a lot of things like they're bottlenecks, a lot of things just depend on them, right? So this was just one project. He had other things, that he was also, so he was just frustrated that the team was too reliant on him. And he ended up coming out in that way. So, I one-on-one, I was like, okay, your name is on this project. Yelling is not gonna help, right? So he ended up like leveling with me and sort of seeing that this is not the best way forward. Now, long story short, like he ended up trying to change his approach and everything, and with that, like with him just like really just trying to not lose it in the meeting, like that just started to improve team morale, right? So in addition with now adding structure and people just being like, okay, we have this low-hanging fruit, let's try and get there. And then that results in momentum. And then, so just that little thing, like that was able to create momentum where it's like, okay, I could take a step back and the team was now self-sufficient. Now, what I really learned from there is like a lot of times the problem is not necessarily technical. So this the cutting edge technology was complex, but the problem was really a human problem. Like people just felt like, all right, it's either I don't trust this person or I don't understand why this person is yelling at me and all of that. So just, figuring out the problem, the human dynamics and the human problem, that just sort of remove the obstacles and just make the project flow, if that makes sense.
So that highlights one of my favorite let's call it project phrases. It's not only project, it's pretty much all kinds of large systems or large organizations phrase. And it goes like this: no matter how it may look at first, it's always a people problem. And your story is a great reminder then when teams fail, whether they don't deliver or they just implode, self-destruct, disappear, disband, that can also happen. It's always because of people. It's not because of technology. And sometimes it's because they can't even talk about what is the problem, right? Like this person, this story you just shared is a person that got driven to a point of so much frustration that they just had to explode. Because they had not been able up to this point to express the fact that, hey, this is too much on me. I can't take this. Team, help me out, right? Like figure out how to take more ownership, how to unload some of this load that you're putting on my back, right? And these days, when you work with teams, how do you try to kind of surface this? Let's call them forbidden topics, right? Like topics we can't talk about, even if it's only implicitly so.
Yeah. So that's why I'm a huge fan of one-on-one. So one of the things that I do when I start my project is that I have regular recurring one-on-one meetings. It could be 15 minutes every week, like with, and it varies in terms of frequency. With some people, it's twice a week. With some people, it's every week. And some people, it's every 2 weeks. I try to do this with as many people as possible, while still protecting my time and all of that. Because the one-on-ones, like, so many things. So not only do you get like, forbidden topics like I mentioned, things left unsaid in meetings, but it's also an avenue. It's like a venting, like a lot of the pent-up things that people can't say, they get to release. It's like a pressure valve. Your one-on-one is a pressure valve that releases all, so that it doesn't come and people don't explode in the meetings, because like that sometimes can be irreparable, right? Because you're going to affect the team morale. And once the group feels a certain way, like that's an uphill battle to reverse, as opposed to dealing with things in a one-on-one. So for me, one-on-ones are like, I swear by one-on-one. So
yeah, it's almost like an early warning system, right?
Right. And not only that, you also build trust. So it's not just, okay, let me just see what the status is. But because also another thing that I know we PMs face is resistance from like engineering and product, because they're like, what value are you bringing? Like,
yeah, this is all process bureaucracy.
Exactly. Yeah, like I just want to do my job. I don't want to get in more meetings. But a lot of, like, so one-on-ones really help with building that relationship, because you can't. I mean, in a meeting, the more they see you in a group meeting, the more they see you, yes, the more that they'll become familiar, and the more you will start like building that relationship with them. But with one-on-ones, it's like you're accelerating that process, right? So, I really
one-on-ones is a very, very useful approach to navigating all kinds of issues. So great recommendation. Thank you for sharing that, Mukhtar. All right, I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you, the members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere, and of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership, because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.